Let's call the meeting to order at 7:01 so we can get underway and we'll see, um, if any of the people poke in at some point, perhaps they'll do it in the next few minutes, but I'd say let's begin. Um, I, our core four seem to be the only faces I see. I don't see any public participation, so nobody from, the community tonight. Um, I saw you sent out the December minutes, and I had a chance to take a look at them. Sherry, I know that you may have seen.
I sent a great many notes to Han. Getting them last night, I couldn't get to them until later this afternoon. I want to strongly suggest that the minutes come to us 4 or 5 days, a week before the actual meeting, so that we have a chance to really look at them. And same thing with the reports and the agenda. We need to get it sooner because getting it at the last minute, I know you guys work. I feel like I work because I work for the HRC, but
Yes.
I had 4 hours of art classes today, so I couldn't. And then I was running around delivering donation bags all over town at 8:30 in the morning, and so if we could please make best effort to get that material to us 4 or 5 days in advance, not the day before or the night of, because there's just not enough time to review it.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we can. I know that as volunteers, it's hard, and my daughter was home with the flu, and then my wife got the flu. And for some reason, I was the only one who didn't get the flu, which is both great and less great. Um, in that I didn't get sick at all, but then everybody around me was down for the count. So I've been doing a lot of that in addition to working. So in addition to this, so any tardiness for things, I feel like I got this meeting in just under the wire as Sherry Dalton was like, you just did it. So with the 72-hour thing as well. And when we have holidays, it's just it
The
can be a bit
crunch.
of a mad schedule. But to your point, if we want to delay the minutes to give us another session to take a look at them, I also feel like that grace period is okay.
Yeah. And like I said, I sent my edits to Han, but I didn't get him to her until 3:30, 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah.
So
So
she
I've
didn't have really
been
a chance either because she's working and has her
Yeah,
family
and I know that with the big event that we had on Monday, I would say let's just delay the vote on that until
the
the
next
next
meeting.
time. Yeah, I think it's okay. We
I make a
all,
motion that
yeah,
we delay approval of our December minutes until our February meeting.
I second the motion.
I
All
vote in
over,
favor.
I vote
Aye.
in favor.
In favor. Yes, in favor.
Great. I think that that's okay. We're all doing our best, and I know when we have also a big event that's here, it's just a lot. Everybody's wearing multiple hats, so I think that that's okay.
Well, tell me about
Um,
it. I think I spent the better part of the last 3 weeks on that event. It's just,
Yeah, it was really
yeah,
great. Yeah, so I
yeah,
think that,
we'll get to it when we get to activities. I have
yeah.
a,
So to that end, then, I will, note, Hun can, make the edits and then resend them out. We can do that, no problem. Operations, I ordered more things for the, box for this event, the Martin Luther King Day event, but it also, because of what was available, it also has some stuff in there that is Black History Month. It has stuff in there that is Juneteenth.
mhm.
So hopefully we're filled out a little bit on that side for having some stuff for that. Um,
And we will have it for a long time.
yeah.
The fact is,
So
it's an investment in materials that we can use over a period of years.
yeah. So is there anything more on that side for?
Well, for the event we just had, because not the whole gospel choir didn't make it, 5 of 8 came. So the invoice was adjusted.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of $400, it's going to be $300. And I also bought the plaque for Amy and folders and made copies. And we're going to be buying pizza for the high school students.
Mm-hmm.
And Jill came up with a great idea that's very cost effective in terms of how we can celebrate the first graders for their wonderful collage. So I think that in the end, probably the Martin Luther King Day event going forward will be probably $550, $600. Okay. Considering that 300 of that is that gospel choir that
Yeah.
really knocked everyone off their feet. They were so good. So there isn't anything on none of this is really going to show for a couple of months because it takes them a while until they get it into the system. So we won't really see this in the budget. And there's no real changes in that budget since the last time. So we'll have to wait a couple of months to see how it all shakes out. I just hope that we get a grant. If we get a grant, it really will help in terms of our, 4 events yet to come this spring.
Yeah, I mean, I, I, the outlook looks good I mean, I'm on that committee, so I know that a lot of people submitted for this year, but the outlook looks good for some amount from it, so
Excellent.
but and that's all, I mean, that meeting, I I recused myself from that, so it's
Yeah.
there's a little crossbreeding here
Oh,
for
God,
now
excuse me for
my
just a moment.
things.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
I also need to order those bags. I keep saying I'm gonna do
Oh,
it,
yeah.
I've not ordered that yet, but as soon as I do, then I just order them and then ask for reimbursement, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, order them and then get the receipt and submit that. And also, oh, I guess for operations as well, the money that for any signs that were sold yesterday, I think we sold 2 signs,
Mhm.
though that can just go over to Sherry Dalton, and I would make a note that you'll have to or I can help, we'll have to ask what to do. Somebody bought a sign and also made a donation along with it.
Yeah,
So we'll have
Sherry
to ask
actually
her.
has that.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
and I
so.
assume she knows what to do with that.
I just forget how, what I don't know is, I've only sold signs that one day that I was at the farmer's market, and I forget what I ultimately did. I think I gave Sherry Dalton a check, ultimately, but I don't know if you can give her cash and note, what is donation and what is that. Do you know, Sherry? Hope you're on mute.
That phone call, please get me up to
Okay.
speed. I'm sorry about
Oh,
that.
so, sorry, so for the signs, we sold 2 signs and at the MLK event, and
Mhm.
then somebody made a small donation along with
Uh-huh.
with buying a sign. So I didn't know, for getting that money to Sherry Dalton, I didn't know if it was okay to give her cash or if we're supposed to give her a check or how
Well,
it is.
I have $20 from somebody who bought a sign, plus they said the rest of it can be a donation. What I do when I give her money, we can give her cash or money, is I
Okay.
always say the amount that was for signs and the amount was pure donation. It is not always indicated that way on the budget, but it goes into the revolving account. It doesn't go into
Okay.
our main budget. So it's important to always specify. And if an expense is for a particular event, it's really important to specify the event and whether it's services or supplies for that event.
Hmm.
That's all you have to do. That's the only categories you have to give her. Your services, supplies, whether it's revolving fund, it can't be, or an expense for the general budget, it's And I was very confused by that email because I had always been led to believe that we spend our budgeted money, the 3 grand, before we have to touch that revolving fund, because that money is sort of like our rainy day fund. So I was
Yeah.
really surprised to see that, and I thought maybe I'd have a backup conversation with Maureen now that things have quieted down a little bit, about that, because that was different than what both the town finance guy, I went to see him, and what we've been operating under the assumption all this time, that the revolving fund is not the fund we tap for our regular programming.
Okay.
That's, that is one, if we need to, we can use it, but we use our budgeted money first. So
Um,
I think we need to check on that to be sure, but
yeah.
because
I'd
I
ask
noticed
the
a lot of
question.
things were coming out of the revolving fund that I thought should come out of our regular budget.
Yeah, I'd ask for clarification because to be honest, I don't have enough familiarity to know. I know the buckets that there are, but I don't know I don't know like particularly I don't know the particulars of what comes out
Well,
of
like I
what.
said, we got
Yeah.
that email from her that said the
Yeah.
opposite of what we had been operating,
Yeah, so if
we've
there's
been operating under.
confusion.
So I'm gonna have to go back and check that out again,
Mhm.
because it really, having owned a business, it
Mhm.
doesn't make sense to me to use your rainy day fund for your regular expenses.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what the revolving account is. It's our rainy day fund,
Yeah.
for
So
extras.
so
So
yeah, so
I'll follow up on that.
okay, that sounds good. Yeah, so that's and if you've got the money for that sign and then
A
and the
$20 bill.
donation, and then Jill, I think you have a separate $5
Yep.
that to also give her for another sign.
Mhm.
It's to that point, I think we should have we should have a small, like when we're doing the signs, maybe have a small box
Yeah.
with some cash in it. I
Yeah.
never think, I always have the change on me that I have on me, but these days I have less and less cash on me because of the world that we're in
Mhm.
feels less and less cash based. So maybe a small box with like even
Maybe.
5 and 5 ones would be good.
Yeah. Would it make sense, or would it even be possible for the HRC to have a Venmo account?
I don't think so.
know. Yeah, I don't know, because I don't know if it's transparent enough for like, and I don't know the rules of Venmo.
Yeah.
The rule for the HRC, all commissions, is all financial transactions go through the town.
Yeah.
We don't have our own, we don't operate independently. We do not write checks. We can accept cash, but we can't deposit it. And we
Yeah.
can't, if we pay,
Yeah. At some point, I wonder if something might shift. Because most people don't use cash anymore, like when you go down to the 4th of July events, you can use Venmo. A lot of
Right.
PTOs are using Venmo, and I do get that that is different than a town entity. But it's worth, we can't shift before the town shifts, but
Right.
um,
Yeah,
I would
I'm
be
curious to
surprised if
see.
something.
I think that the town would then have to figure out what they would use, and I think that there are just some particulars if you are going to be, because we're not an organized, like we're a town organization, we're not a 501(c)(3), or we're not so I actually just don't know. I don't know the logistics of it, but it would be nice for Wakefield to go digital, but I would not hold our breaths in
Yeah.
this moment. But
that is the kind of thing that can be brought before the town council for discussion. It's not for us to discuss.
yeah,
A recommendation can be made to the town
Yeah.
council. So
But
it's
yeah.
not really, we're spinning our wheels even talking about it because we
Yeah.
can't do it.
Yeah, but I think I mean, as if we do begin to do more events and try to do like, if we're doing, depending on these food truck things or some of these bigger ideas, if we do start to, execute that and we're running into some problems, then I think we can have that discussion. So I think that is our operations. And do you have additional things on financial, Sherry?
No, because
Okay.
nothing has changed since the last
Okay.
reports, really.
Um, and activities. The Martin Luther King Day event went really well. People came out despite the chill and the snow. So that was really nice.
Yeah, so many people came up to talk about how impressed they were, how inspiring it was, how it was just what they needed that day in
Mhm.
particular. And we even got an HRC commission application out of it.
Oh, great.
Nice.
Yeah, somebody who I know from my book group, who comes to everything, who had considered maybe becoming a commissioner in the past, and someone else she knew, there was one opening and someone else she knew, she goes, oh, that's okay, I can pass on this. And that was probably 8, 9 years ago.
Mm.
And after yesterday's event, I mean, her words, she came up to me and she goes, this was superb. And then I got an email that night that said, I just put in my application to become a commissioner.
Great.
So, yeah, and this is someone who's older, experienced, very involved in democratic politics in town, actually, in a lot of ways. A retired college professor.
Oh, great.
So, and she, very well-spoken person.
Is this Kathy Shine Kane?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And so,
Sorry, am I
and
allowed
she's
to
a very
guess?
strong personality,
Yeah, I like
so
Kathy.
as
I like,
so many of us are. So, but she is a creative person and a
yeah.
worker.
It's
So
funny,
I was delighted. I can't,
Kathy
I'm
had
just
been
delighted.
on the Arts Council right as I was beginning, but she was leaving the Arts Council when I was beginning. So,
Yeah.
but I like Kathy. Kathy is a pip.
Oh, yeah. And you also the plug I had on the screen at the end about help us continue the legacy of Martin Luther King by becoming a commissioner. And I hope that may be registered with a couple of other people in the audience. I hope, because,
Yeah. Well, and I mean, this is not a formal discussion, but obviously, I would say that, she spoke very eloquently on behalf of the flag raising at the town meeting. I'm not sure if any of you were able to make that marathon meeting of a town meeting, but she was there at the end and spoke very eloquently. She is a good speaker.
okay. And let's, like I said, maybe we'll get some more surprises. I hope we do.
Yeah.
The event, I mean, I'm very experienced at doing production, so it went off exactly as it was supposed to on time. My husband always shakes his head. He said, I can't believe you pull these things off, because he doesn't do that kind of thing, and
Mhm.
I had him, taking photographs, and he could, that's what he does, and that was more than he could do. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I was so delighted. The children were absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much, Jill, for working with Chris at Dolbear. Um, the gospel choir, I think everybody was like, wow, they were really a wow. They were terrific. The speakers all came through. I mean, I gave them just a teensy bit of guidance on how I wanted them to craft their speeches. And boy, did they come through, from the invocation to Jason Lewis to Kate Lipper-Garabedian, or is it Garabedian, Lipper-Garabedian?
Libergarian, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just terrific. And I thought it was also a nice little thing to know that we were moving forward with the Black history. I thought that was a great inclusion.
Yeah.
Of course, I was really excited to be able to present an award to Amy, because I think she's fabulous. Um, Brought her whole family, all the little kids. She had half the police force there babysitting,
Yeah.
trying to control her little girl in particular, who was quite an active little girl.
Yeah. They did great though. I mean, they sat
Yeah.
through an hour of, the ceremony, and I know that for at that age is a feat.
Oh, yeah. Well, even the choir that
Yeah.
was sitting in the first row, they were doing great. They were paying attention, they were listening, they were,
Yeah.
and when you're a second, third, fourth grader, you're not used to sitting still necessarily and just watching for that
Yeah.
long anymore, because kids just don't. So, I mean, thank you all for your help, but in particular, Jill, thank you so much. And we'll follow up by treating the Dolbear kids to a little ice cream party. She said that we can just bring them even Dixie cups, and which is a very cost-effective way to thank them. And they would be thrilled. There were 90 first graders who created that collage. That's a lot of kids.
I need
Yeah.
to follow up. I'll email her, the teacher that sent you the email about the artwork. I'll email her directly and talk to her about, first of all, returning that artwork, but then also making a plan. And so when we do have a plan, is that the same thing, Jess, where I would just purchase it and then ask for reimbursement?
Yeah, or I'll
Yeah.
purchase it and they can reimburse me, whichever way you want to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I have
Right.
other reimbursements. I submitted invoices today. I mean, the hot cocoa and the cookies, which for a change we didn't have left over. We had a few hot cocos left over, was $67. And I thought the hot cocoa was a nice addition for a cold day.
Mhm.
It was well
And
received. A lot of kids went and came and had hot cocoa and
yeah,
Yeah.
and the juices this year, there was only one juice box left over.
Mm.
Last year, I know I gave a whole bunch of stuff to Evan to take back to the Boys and Girls Club. Now, I have the artwork from the digital display artwork still sitting in my car because it turns out Evan is now in the Stoneham, he's for Wakefield Stoneham, but he's in the Stoneham office. He's not in our office. So I have to go over and talk to Rebecca, the manager at the cafe there. And I want to leave but I want to get those back to the high school students too. But I think the fact that we can have a continuing art show for the kids, and we very rarely have done something special for Black History Month. We'll put some things up online, and but we've really had it like an event type thing. And this way we can, I'll make sure I send out to the town, be sure to check out the new Inspire Cafe and the art exhibit. It'll help their grand opening. They were delighted to have something like that. And today, when I spoke to Dan McGrath, he said he would love to have it at the Albion Cultural Center
Oh, yeah.
sometime too, if the kids would like to have another art show there. Or in the future, he said, bring it over. He said he'd love to use the Albion Cultural Center.
Yeah, yeah, I think we should follow up on that, because if they're looking for something to put up or have a down moment when things aren't up, I think it would be a great time to do it if we can do it. And yeah, I think that would be great. And it's a pretty easy thing to do. And he would help out with that. And then people are also moving in through there for classes and for their few shows in and out of there. So
In fact, I'm surprised that he hasn't personally reached out to the art departments at all the schools, because the list is online. I mean, I have all
I
the art
think
teachers' email
I think
addresses.
in inheriting the Albion Cultural Exchange, in addition to all of the rec center stuff, I feel like he has also got perhaps
Oh, okay.
one hat too many in the moment. So
Okay.
yeah,
Well, in fact, then since I have that list,
yeah,
I can offer to help him. I
Yeah.
can say, that we now have this exhibit of the high school students' digital art. In the future, the recreation department would love to be able to host shows of art by students at the Albion Cultural Center as well. So if
Yeah.
your students, I mean, when my sister was a teacher for 33 years, and I told this to Dan today, the reason she became like North Carolina Art Teacher of the Year in Wake County, she was awarded several times, was that she always arranged shows. She was a wonderful teacher, but she arranged shows for the students.
Yeah, I know that they do a senior art show there, but I don't, in addition to that, I think, I think any thoughts you have on that,
Yeah.
Dan, I don't know if he's been able to delegate any of those tasks, but I think it's it's always a nice, I've put shows up there, not art shows. I've put storytelling shows up there, and it makes so much of a difference when there's stuff on the walls versus when there hasn't been. So it's nice to always keep that
Mhm.
space feeling vibrant. So I think it's good.
Sherry,
And
can
I'm
you
trying to
clarify?
help with,
Can you clarify, when I email the first grade teachers, what are we bringing the ice cream for? Did they win an award?
it's to thank the students for their wonderful artwork in honor of the MLK Day
Okay.
event.
And did they know that this is coming?
I told Courtney emailed me today,
Yeah.
and I said that you had the artwork and that we were working out a way to reward the children
Okay,
for their work, because
Okay.
it was such a wonderful addition to the day. So I think just tell her we'd like to give them a treat to thank them for their contribution to our Martin Luther King Day event.
Cool.
And that's all it is. And the digital stuff, because we had advertised that the class project would get a pizza party, we are obliged to do a pizza party, but I understand that Lisa has an account with the town and they give a discount. And Pete Davis said he'd help me organize getting the order over to Lisa and she'll deliver. I just have to see what Morgan, the art teacher, when she would like to have that happen. So that's the follow-up. I will arrange with the art teacher at the high school for when we can celebrate those kids and thank them. Or maybe they want to have it at the Inspire Cafe, except the Inspire Cafe is not going to want outside food anyway. We'll do it at their school sometime. But I'll take care of that. If you could take care of arranging the date for the ice cream, and if you'd like, I'll pick it up and bring it over, or whatever. But yes, it was a great event. I'm really happy now that I can take a deep breath and do some other stuff. And rest a little bit. I mean, I was conked out at 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. We went out for lunch. I came home, boom. I couldn't. So it was exhilarating and exciting, and good event. So we have things coming up though that are exciting
Yep.
too.
So sorry.
Next one is March. That's
Yep.
yours, Jess.
So the next one is March. The room and reception places are booked at the high school for the Thursday before International Women's Day. And I've reached out to Catherine Dingra, who had said she might be interested again in helping us come up with a list. And I will also reach out to Lennis, who was on the panel last year, who said, I happened to run into her in a Dunkin' Donuts, and she said that she had some thoughts on people who might be a match too. So that will now begin. We'll now commence with the scheduling of that. And once again, I don't mind hosting it, or kind of being the person to read the questions and get the questions to people, and
I would be willing to do that as well if you'd like.
yeah. So I think that's once I hear back from Catherine and Lennis, I will schedule a meeting for us to talk. I'll schedule it through the town so that it's a Zoom meeting, because I think that we'll have between you and I talking to one another. I think
And
we'll have
Jill.
it as yeah. And Jill, if you have got a moment.
And for the record, you should give for the minutes, Han, the exact dates and names of the facilities, so it's in our records.
What are the exact dates and names of those facilities? It's the exact date for the
It's the
Thursday
Savings
before
Bank Theater, Savings Bank Theater,
It's
and
the
the
Savings
adjacent
Bank Theater.
cafeteria.
Yep.
And
that would be
March
6th.
March
would be
6th,
March
the
6th.
Thursday, right?
Yep.
Starting at 6:30 p.m., 7 o'clock.
Yeah. It's for the same time as last year, so I believe
Right.
it starts
7.
7. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Give people a
arriving
chance
there.
to have their dinners.
Yeah. So and it was a nice little crowd last year, and really wonderful panelists. So yeah, so that's the book, and it should be on. I'll get that up on the calendar as well. I'll begin all of the process for that too.
Okay, and I want to tell you that when I was planning for Martin Luther King Day, I was talking to Ian, and he said, contrary to what I had been told previously by someone else on his staff, that simulcasting will not poach the audience. So I'm going to suggest that we actually simulcast the event. We don't just hold off the link, the YouTube link, for later. Because if he had said that to me sooner, I would have simulcast the MLK Day.
Okay.
So he said in the future, he said, no, he said, it will not. The people who plan to come, would like to come out to things, will come out.
Okay,
So
yeah,
that would be great, especially I think we will find quite a few people in the senior citizen community, especially in March when it's still cold,
yeah,
might really appreciate that.
yeah,
And of
definitely.
course, anyone who's like otherly abled, who's not able to get around as easily, would
Mhm.
also appreciate that.
Yeah,
Um,
okay,
so, and
that's good
maybe
to know.
even some young people who don't have transportation.
Yeah,
Yeah, so, so so you need to also tell WCAT the date,
yeah,
so
yeah,
they're ready for that.
yeah.
And they're fabulous to work with. They're,
Oh yeah, I love working
they're
with
wonderful.
WCAT. It's a really nice set of people, and also I still see Barbara Worley around.
She comes to
Who,
our events. She
yeah,
still
she always
works
comes
there.
to events.
Mhm,
She's very very talent engaged.
mhm.
So yeah, so that's where that is at right now,
Okay,
and
and
I'll
I,
do
in the
the
last
I.
set of minutes, I had promised to follow up now that this is over
Mhm,
with both Jason Lewis and Kate Garabedian's office.
mhm,
And I will give them the same information we have in our minutes about what the theme is, so
yeah,
that they can then tell me if they would recommend anyone in particular
yep.
to speak.
Great. And I don't mind putting together um just some like posters and stuff just to get it up on, because I know getting it up on the digital display and getting it up with the town. I know that they have a little bit of lead time that they need. So prior to having everything, all of the panelists together, I can put something together. And then once we have all the panelists, I can put another thing together.
Yeah,
So
that can be in the press releases. Those
yeah.
posters are, just need to theme the time and the date, with the
Yeah.
concentration and whatever. I have the international, well, you saw I had that promo for what's coming up. I have
Mhm.
their logos. I have several different forms, but they're available online, but I have all their logos if you'd like that. And
Sure.
they also each year have different graphics online for International Women's Day. And there's some of them are really, really nice and they're
Mhm.
public domain kind of graphics.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you send Jen the meat of what you want, she will put these 11 by 17 together for you.
I know, but I'm pretty quick
If
at
you can
doing that,
put,
and
no, you can.
I know she's so strapped with everything that she's got to do too.
Okay.
So it's I always try to I try to remove as much friction as I can for her on that one, because there's also like the dimensions of it are not quite the, like, it's, she needs the 11 by 17, but then there's a whole like I think a pixel, there's like
Oh,
a
no, this,
this,
you can just send her a JPEG 11 by 17 using the online, because I do that.
yeah,
I always do it as well because I have all that software. And
yeah.
it's very, very easy to upload any kind of standard JPEG on their
Yeah.
website. It's really
Yeah,
easy.
I have both types of both. I have all the size templates set up in Canva.
Yeah.
So I just
Oh,
to
yeah,
do that.
Canva's good.
Yeah.
So, so if you could get it on the town calendar right away
Mm.
too, it's
Yep.
important because you want other people to see that they shouldn't schedule against us maybe on that date.
Yeah.
I hope there isn't, anything else going on that date that's substantial.
Cool. So yeah, that's where that is. I also, this is a bit early, but the um Voices of Steel reached out just for scheduling, that with an interest of being part of the Pride flag,
Oh,
progress
yes,
flag raising.
yes.
So I just let them know that we would love to have them again, and so they have that in their calendar. So and I think that you had worked out the date with the town council for the Juneteenth group as well, right?
Bob Vincent is taking care of it for us. We don't have to
Okay.
do anything. He's taking
Thank you,
care
Bob Vincent.
Did you want
Yeah.
to provide the actual day,
for,
the
Oh,
flag raising, since you brought that
so
up?
the flag raising, it's the first Monday in June.
which is June 2nd.
June 2nd, yeah, and
And it's at the AmeriCal.
yep,
And the Juneteenth is June 18th, Wednesday night. And that's been approved. to go forward the night before. I mean, we're talking about 6 hours prior to June 19th. So that will be fine. For International Women's Day, I'd like to back up just a little bit.
Oh, yeah, actually, I had one more
Okay.
note on that as well.
One of the things that we had said to Bob when he was talking
Yep.
about the Soldiers and Sailors Monument, he was talking about a particularly like a woman worthy of note in Wakefield who basically paid for that thing. And I was wondering if, in concert with International Women's Day, we might want to, and especially I want to talk about her, but put together something, even if it's just Facebook website, on other notable women in Wakefield history. And I would be very happy to go to the Historical Society
Oh, that'd be great.
and talk to them and say, please help us. We'd like little blurbs about notable women in Wakefield history. And we can, of course, even hand out little things at our International Women's Day.
Yeah, I think I'll follow up with Bob and also follow up about that dedication so that we can incorporate it into International Women's Day and
Well,
um
it's by incorporating it, I told him that we would talk about, I can't remember her name right now, but she and other women, which is not the same as going out and standing by the statue, although they're going to have a fabulous ceremony.
oh yeah, it's going to be
They're going to have a great
it'll be a
ceremony.
really good ceremony. And I think that yeah, let's we'll if you can talk with the Historical Society, I'll talk with Bob, and then I think we'll put something together that feels good for everybody and recognizes is a good recognition of women in the town and historical contributions. And I think that we can have a really nice moment for International Women's Day, and then in May the other ceremony, we can also be a part of that. And I think I think it will all be a nice tie-in. And a nice good feeling for the different groups.
Well,
Um,
I've already mentioned that to him, and because he thought that we were going to be part of the ceremony, and there wasn't really a connection between what we do and that particular statue. But then I said, that's when I came up with the idea that we would honor her and other notable women on International Women's Day.
yeah, and I think that there is, I think that it's a nice connection. I feel like I feel like that there's a nice connection there for various historical reasons and different contributions. And I believe there's also a Juneteenth, without all of my notes in front of me, I do not have every detail, but I think that on the whole, I think it will be a good part of International Women's Day. And I think in May, it makes sense to connect with them for that ceremony. I don't think it will be a lot of extra effort on our part. And I think that any of these contact points between different groups in town, I think are really nice. So thank
Okay,
you
so
for bringing,
I will follow up on
yep,
some on gathering some history on notable women in Wakefield history from the Wakefield Historical Society. It's one
great.
of my to-dos.
Perfect. And I will follow up with Bob.
I don't know if we have anything to follow up with him quite
I
yet.
have like to
He knows
always,
about this.
I will follow up with him just to make sure that I have all of my ducks in a row for the different information that I need, and also check in about May. So it'll just put it on my list. Put my name on put it on my to-do list so that I've got that in my mind, because as I've noted at the beginning of this, my mind is scattered. So so that and Juneteenth, and so that
Fun.
brings us then I think to the APH, right?
Yep. So we
And-
have the Asian Pacific Heritage Month. The event will be on Sunday, May 18th, from 12 to 2 p.m. at the Marical Civic Center. We had our first meeting with the volunteers. We have Winnie, Cheyenne, and Jeff. They will continue to volunteer this year. We also will have for our second meeting, I wanted to start with just the four individuals first, but we do have a second meeting planned for February 5th, I think it is. And this would also include, I think we're going to do this as a public meeting. because I think that Sherry would like to come, and we have to have the additional Zoom meeting through the town. And then we'll have Jalak there. We have 2 additional APISA members that will be joining us as well. My daughter Ellie, and then a junior Naya will be joining us. And then we also have the National Honor Society representative joining us as well.
And
From the high
Jalak,
school.
is
Yep,
Jalak,
Jalak.
yeah.
Mhm.
Did you
So long
say
as she's
it's
available,
February
so long as she's
6th?
available.
Did you say
Um,
February 6th was the next meeting?
I think it's actually February 5th because that's the Thursday.
A Thursday would be February 6th.
Oh, okay. Then Thursday, February 6th. will be
Okay,
the
I'm
next
gonna just
meeting.
put it on my calendar, AAPI Zoom.
Yep.
Okay,
So I did send out a request to Sherry already to ask her to reserve the Zoom. And whether she does a series of meetings or the initial meetings, I'm not sure what her preference is, but
she usually would rather you just ask her um the week before, although she can accommodate, but she might with the upcoming change in staff management at the town hall.
I just let her know because it's every 2 weeks, so I'm not sure. So that's our plan, is to meet every 2 weeks,
Okay,
to go over, all the different items. So this is going to be a art contest for middle and high school students, not just in Wakefield, but also the surrounding neighborhoods. So we are going to reach out to Melrose, to Reading, um, to I think Saugus as well, and some of the other areas in the surrounding area. So we have contacts in Melrose, we have contacts in Reading as well. And then I think North Reading actually reached out to us previously via an email, so I might reach out to that individual as well to have them. And I also want to send out an email to the different HRC. So I'll go to the different websites to the town and just make sure that we connect with those individuals as well. Oh, go ahead, Sherry, you're
I
gonna
have
say.
a question. Who is eligible to enter the art contest? Is it only supposed to be AAPI students or students representing art that's AAPI related?
So the event will be middle and high school. The art contest will be middle and high school students that would like to submit an Asian inspired art piece. The
Okay,
art piece can be in the form of a drawing, a painting, it can be in the form of photography, digital. It can also be in the form of music, dance, and
fabric?
performance. Music, dance, and performance, sculpture as well. Yeah, so if they want to do whatever piece that they want to submit, ultimately we're accepting all art.
Hmm. How about poetry?
So, yep.
Okay,
So I think this is one of those things that we're kind of making it open so that people can feel included. And we also, we are looking for performers. So we do want to push the music and the performance element, and the dance element, to see if we can get some of those individuals to perform at the event as well.
Which
in the
reminds
past, as you
me,
know, there's that academy in Burlington. I think I shared with you all of the performance groups that we've used in the past that were Asian inspired. But Jeff knows, because he got in touch with them, but not soon enough last year, a group for Pacific Islanders for hula dancers.
Well, we're looking for middle and high school students, so they
yeah,
would have to
Oh,
submit their piece. We are
right.
going to have two kind of
I'm talking about performers now. Is that
yes,
different?
Well, before you move on to that, for this art
contest.
contest, I know that you asked me about possibly reaching out to somebody at Mass Art. Put that in my to-do list too, because I will reach out to, I'll chat with my wife right after this. She works with Schools of the Fenway, so some might know a contact person to reach out who might be able to set you up with somebody. So we'll see. That because that would be a judge of the art. So, and since it's all art, I don't know if you'll need more than one, but
Yes, we will.
yes. So perhaps I'll see, maybe by having more than one school over there, there may be some other groups And if it's somebody within the town too, I don't know if any of the teachers at the schools who do arts might have a sense as well of somebody.
Yeah, we're also gonna try to get obviously a high school teacher to judge the event as well. And again, if we can get someone on the college level, that would be very nice for people. And then, Sherry, did I answer your question about the Asian Inspired to make sure the people who are eligible to submit for the art?
Yes,
And then for the
but I'm still
performers,
confused about the performers, who
Yes.
they would be.
the performers would also be art contest submitters,
Would they be
So we do-
strictly students though?
strictly students.
Okay,
And we are doing, and it all depends on how many submissions we get and how many people are willing to actually convert their submission to a performance. So obviously, if they perform at the event, we are opening it to, so there's a couple of different things. So the first I want to say we do have some pieces of performance that are already confirmed that are not related to the art contest. So we are going to have the lion dance to kind of open up our event. And then we are going to have the Voices of Steel kind of also be there to be within this judging time frame. So then that way you have the performers that will be out there as optional if they want to solicit more votes that way by performing at the event. There is going to be a online voting period that will start 1 week prior and end at the event. So then there's going to be time within the event for them to vote. And then there will be, so that will be one aspect of the judging, and then there will be the actual professional judges.
you're gonna do all of this between 12 and 2?
12 and 2, yeah.
You sure? You
We're
don't
going to
want
be
more
doing
time
like
than that?
yeah, so the online piece will be done through a platform. So we're going to be using I think it's what is it? Survey Monkey. So then all the pieces will be there. They'll go onto the Survey Monkey and then they'll vote instantaneous, right? So the results will be instantaneous back. And then the other piece will be the judges will be there at the event to judge the pieces. And keep in mind, they'll probably receive the information just like we do online as well. So they'll have those pieces and then we'll have the pieces displayed. We are planning on having a table set up for each contestant to be able to display whatever piece and to be able to present the information. There is going to be a written piece that they have to submit as part of their submission as well, that informs as to how that piece was Asian inspired. And then if people come by and they want to ask questions, they will be there to talk about their pieces.
When will the call for entries go out?
The call for entries will go out on, I believe we're going to send them out we're going to try, I think, for March, sometime in March. So we're hoping to have the flyer complete by the end of February for the call for art pieces. And then we're having 2 pieces. We have a student that will be designing the pieces. One will be the call for art from the high schools and the middle schools. And then the second piece will be the actual event piece.
Are you gonna also advertise it through the town's digital and kiosk system?
Yes.
With,
Yeah, I've already spoken to Jen
yeah,
about all the different elements for communications.
okay. And of course, patch and the item and maybe even
I'm going to go through
Boston
your
Globe's
list.
North Shore Edition.
Yeah.
How about the Boston Globe's North Shore Edition?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably.
Because they do have a North Shore Edition that's the surrounding towns.
Yeah, great idea.
Sounds great, hon. Thank you.
This is so ambitious. Wow, I am impressed.
Great.
Yeah, we have a period of time. We are going to get a lot of high school volunteers. I asked my daughter how many volunteers that she thinks she can get. And I'm like, are you going to get like 20, 30? She's like, I think I can do that. So we're going to get quite a number of high school volunteers at the event. And then also, obviously, try to get as much solicitation as we can.
And
But again, it'll all depend on how many art submissions. So if we don't get very many, then we may have to tweak and add more performances. So we'll see where we are, probably by the end of March to see how many we get.
and have you decided that the food truck thing was not really workable?
No, we are going to do the food truck as well.
How are you
So
going to
that's-
fund that?
So that's a question that I have for this team. We're looking at two different things. Number one is how much budget can we have for the event? And the second piece is we are going to look for sponsors.
You're gonna need a lot of sponsorship because we don't have enough money to cover food
How
trucks.
much is it? Can we talk
So
about
let's
it?
talk about the
Yeah.
expense. So I did reach out to several food trucks. We have the Hungry Nomads. That's a food truck. It's not Asian, but it is kind of local because the person who runs that food truck also did the public kitchen.
Mhm.
And that gives us like chicken sandwiches, burgers, burritos, things like that. And their cost is $800 inclusive of food. So if depending on how many people we get to purchase food, that will decrease our contribution of the $800.
So if they get at least $800 in receipts, we don't owe them anything?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Well,
that's a very low ceiling because a lot of food trucks ask for $1,500 to $1,800 minimum.
Yeah, we've seen 1,500 to 2,500. So one of the food trucks that we reached out to was Banh Mi, and they're asking for 2,500. We know that that's not going to be possible. The other food truck that we reached out to, I haven't received a response yet, is Kowloon. So Kowloon has a
Huh.
$600 setup fee for their truck, so that would be the cost. And then on top of that, people would purchase food. But our minimum would be $600 if we want Kowloon at our event. And they're in Saugus, so that's a neighborhood location. Yep, location.
Yeah. It's
The restaurant's
also
gone.
iconic. I mean,
Yeah,
Kowloon is
like
iconic.
amazing, yeah.
If you put together a list of anticipated costs for something like that, you may also be able to I'm speaking a bit from conversations in passing, not formal conversations with these boards, but the economic development commission, economic development group, via Julie Arcino expressed some interest in this kind of cultural event and some of this stuff, or at least knowing about it to see if we can figure out ways to fund things like that in the town where our budget may fall short. There may be money elsewhere. So I think just have those numbers together. It sounds like you're really putting together a thoughtful list, and then we can look at that and see which money trees we might be able to shake. So because I think that I think it would be really good for the HRC, but it also sounds like something that would be really good for the town of Wakefield. So I think that in that way, I think we can think a little bit creatively about it as well.
How much of a grant did you request, Jill?
We talked about this last time, so it's gotta be in our meeting notes from
It was
one
like
of the last
I
few
think,
minutes.
yeah, you requested what you can request, I think you had
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
Sorry, I can't remember. Was it 3,000?
Yeah,
Yeah, I went high. I did what,
If we get that, hon, you're covered.
I would, and I would, I get the sense, and this is an unofficial sense, but I get the sense that and I've gotten this sense from Maureen in the past as well, that there may be money for things like this when particularly when they reach out beyond to support, local places, when they are something that would be fun for something that's really Wakefield focused and like good for the Wakefield community. I think that we can learn a little bit more ourselves about where there may be money. I think that's the sense I get. I am not financially I haven't figured out the inner workings of towns, but I think through this, I think that we can ask a lot of questions, and the more questions we ask, I think that we'll at least be able to find out what's possible.
But I think you made a good suggestion that if Han, you could put together sort of an anticipated expense list. I mean, I don't know what you're planning on doing for, how much money it will cost for you to have the contest. If there are people that you're gonna have to, I know with the Lion Dance, we always made a donation to them. We called it a service fee and donation. I was allowed to do that. We're not allowed to do sponsorships, but we can certainly do, donations that are, for services rendered, honorarium type of services. I did that with our past Asian American ones. So if you can put together just what you think it might be, I mean, we might be able to do it out of our general budget, but we have to also note that there's International Women's Day, Juneteenth, Pride Month, and I know with Juneteenth, it's usually about $450 for that.
Yep.
So we just
Yeah.
have to be mindful. And actually, if we have to pay them before Juneteenth, so it goes in under this year's budget. But if we get a grant, we can do something spectacular. And it would actually be a grant that we can use through the fall, because I have something pretty fantastic in mind for Hispanic heritage that will cost us several $100s. So we at least need several $100s for that. So I'm hoping we can find more than enough money, but we cannot squeeze a ton of money out of the town beyond our particular budget. They're always pretty modest about the extras that they will cover.
Well, I think that it's not so much squeezing extra money out of the town. I think it's just let's approach one of the other groups that I think is currently interested in doing more cultural events. I have heard in passing and just see what that means. And I think that I can help with that. And then I think that we can, especially if we come with numbers and like a budget for something like this, I think that I think it's better to go in with a positive a positive thought and then ask questions, and then we'll find out more information on that.
Do you know
So
when we
that's
might find out about the grant?
I believe
Usually
that
February.
it's February. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't remember exactly the date in February.
You know who else, if you're talking about, I'm just thinking about Erin Kukinda, who is our economic development office for the town, and they're trying to bring people into downtown. And she might be a good ally in
Well, that's
terms
the
of,
group that I
Who's
mean to reach out to.
represented.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Erin Kukinda. In terms of helping to sell this, this will expose people from the outside to Wakefield. They'll come into town. Anyone I've ever invited to town say, what a nice little town you have. And this is good because people will see the restaurants that are there. We don't have a lot of shops, but we have some. And so she might be a good ally in helping you even find funds, economic development.
We're also going to be soliciting like the different Asian businesses to get prizes from them.
Okay. Now the artist, the creative contributors, are they getting prizes, or what's the thought?
So my intent is that volunteers and artists would have a paid lunch at the event. So they will receive a paid lunch, and then the top prizes will receive gift certificates.
Okay. So that has to be factored into your budget, how much money for that
Yep.
kind of thing. Okay. Well, this
Great.
sounds very exciting.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting, and it sounds like there are some fun things coming up. I I can help to reach out to the economic development folks as well if that helps. Or, I can put feelers out, but then once you've got the numbers, you know, I don't mind coming to that and chatting. I'd like to kind of hear some more about their initiatives as well. There's only, and we're up against 8, so I want to wrap up with just one extra thing beyond events.
I have one more thing too.
Yeah, go ahead.
And
Jill, you first.
I have one
Okay.
very brief thing also.
Do you
Is
wanna
it
go
in
first,
events
Jeff?
or is it something else?
Mine?
Jill,
Thing is, the woman from Juneteenth gave me a recommendation for the gospel group.
mhm.
Now she's looking for money. And what I basically told her that we are not, because I didn't interpret what she did for us as like a particularly services rendered. I just asked for a recommendation. She gave me a name. She had the woman contact me. And I wanted to speak with you about the fact that I was just going to say to her, because I told her I'd bring it up before this group, that we're not allowed to do sponsorships. You know, to give donations we're not to give donations, sponsorships. And that would be, and say, thank you very much, but we are not allowed to give you an outright donation or sponsorship.
Oh, so the person from Juneteenth wants a donation for the
She said, we're not well
recommendation.
funded and we'd like would you give us a donation? When we
Um,
can't even give WCAT, who gives us so much service, any kind of donation or sponsorship.
yeah, I think that that's okay. It's it's a bit of a I'm a bit surprised at the ask only because I wouldn't have thought of it offhand. But you know, we have a good relationship with them, so I think probably say that in a diplomatic way and um see what they're, you know, let's avoid I mean, in that case, then I don't want to kind of run into that again because I don't want to build up any misunderstanding amongst you
This
know,
is a topic we've
yeah,
discussed before
yeah.
because we wanted to give a donation.
No, it's not the donation so much as you know, I just don't want I don't want there to be any expectations in the future that we then can't answer to. So I think it's also a good thing to know that's the expectation.
Well, it's
Um,
also, that is the policy that and we've had this come up before.
yeah.
And I can just tell her that, you know, I spoke with our commission and we reviewed the fact that there is a town policy that we're not unable to make donations. So I mean, I give referrals and can give information to people for free all the time. And, you know,
Yeah.
I was very surprised, you know, because
Yeah.
because I had
Yeah,
already,
I would say send that response out and, you
Okay.
know, make the apology too. You know, of course we would donate to so many, you know, like if that was, if that was the way that we were to use our money, then, you know, they would be kind of a different organization. But I think that, you know, where our money we can't make those donations and we don't have the money for that, if we're also going to be doing all of these events.
right.
So
I mean,
that.
if I don't
And
think she'll push it any further, but
yeah,
the
I
truth
think that,
be, unless someone is sending us an invoice for services rendered,
yeah, I
if
think that,
someone outright says donation, we aren't allowed
yeah,
to do that. Okay.
yeah,
Just
I
wanted to
think that's,
clarify, and so
yep,
would tell her truthfully that I brought it before the group.
okay, that sounds good. And Jill, what was your,
Well, I mean, it's not really quick, but I do know it's 8:05 and we all need to sign off. But, you know, I'm just thinking and wondering, you know, with everything going on in the country, how we might be supports to the community of Wakefield. And, you know, I think people are looking for community, safety, allyship, belonging. Some people are looking for that. And you know, I wonder how we can do that for people, either as a group or on our own. I'm probably gonna give my own personal donation to the Peace Flag movement and offer flags to some of the businesses downtown to increase representation. But those little things really matter right now, and I wonder if we can play a role in that as the HRC.
I actually spoke with Maria Muti, a past member of the HRC, who is an immigration lawyer. And one of the things I said to her is, what can I do? And she's going to send me information about ways in which, because they're already doing a great deal. Because I asked her about people in our community. Like I know that it's not a large, but there's a contingent of Central American people who live in Wakefield. And she goes, oh, we've reached out for people. We're giving them all the kinds of information and support we possibly can. But she's going to send me information because I want to do something as well. And we'll see if there's something we can do in terms of disseminating information. Because
Yeah,
that's basically what we do. We
I think it's
serve as a
beyond,
resource.
yeah, okay.
I think let's begin with, and I know that I know that it seems um disseminating resources and sharing resources with people doesn't, for people who are feeling really um precarious right now, I think it can be easy to not feel like it's enough. I think it's a good place to begin since it's 8:07, and I know that we don't have the time in the moment to really have a more thoughtful answer to this, and I don't want to get I don't want to get deep into something that I then won't have the time to answer. I think let's do if each of us can do a little bit of research also between now and you just begin to do a bit more research, and if things are coming up or there are thoughts beyond that, I think let's both bring it as an agenda item to the next meeting, and let's also just as community members, I think that you know, we are here to support people. So I think, you know, if anybody comes to you with a really good idea, let them know to share it with our email and to reach out to us as well. Because we can also be there in that way to hear people's voices and concern. I think that the more Wakefield knows that they can, Wakefield residents know that they can reach out and that we are a group that is here to hear that. I think that then we'll also know what the people in the town are looking for and what their needs are. And I think that that's always a good place to start from, because we want to hear their voices.
I think one thing that we have to be careful about is the line between support and targeting. So, you know, just, I think that's the only thing that I would be cautious about as we're thinking about how we can support is not target. So,
Yeah.
I'm not catching it
And,
between
and
support
we've
and
had
what?
this discussion pre-partisan. We've had this discussion before that we do not take a political side. That's why we put out that statement that we give resources and references for people and point them in the right direction. And then personally, we can do things individually.
Yeah.
But the HRC, I mean, look at us, 4 of us.
But I think
It's
that
not like we can run a human rights campaign,
no, but
you
I
know,
think that
at the level that is needed in this country.
I
But,
think
and there are
that,
organizations that are doing it. There are quite a few. And like I said, Marie is going to help me
yep, and
identify.
I think that for me, I I would say that the more we can hear, like, because we're not political, but we are here to serve the town of Wakefield. And so if there is something that, if somebody has a concern or something specific and they are reaching out, I don't know that we'll have the, you know, we are 4 people. We are doing all of these events. We haven't traditionally been in this role of being, you know, like what our role is. I don't see it shifting into being able to be a support system, but I think, or, you know, I'm not wording it right, but I don't know for each request how much we can do, but I think knowing what people are thinking about or knowing what is in the minds of the town, I think it at least it at least makes it Wakefield focused and lets us know, you know who in our town is thinking about what and what they're hoping for. And I think that then we can at least bring that to different people who might be able to answer different questions or give this more specific resources that people need. That's as much as I know.
Our events address this. I mean, certainly Monday addressed this and set a tone. the fact that we have a major celebration celebrating the diversity of the Asian community, that is supportive and sets a tone. The fact that we do Pride Month and Juneteenth, the fact that we do these cultural events celebrating diversity and informing people about people that they may not understand or necessarily value, I think is what we do best in terms of supporting
Yeah, I
human
think,
rights.
and I, again, I think it's, I think that both thoughts are, I think, valid in these times. And let's just figure out our way forward as we have our meeting next month. If anybody has additional thoughts, we can add those thoughts. And it does tie into my final thing, which is that Steve Mayo is retiring and he is moving on to more relaxation than he currently has. So there'll be a new person in that role, and I think that may be if there is any different role that anybody might like for the HRC to take on or a path forward, perhaps with the new person coming in. Like there are always conversations to be had, but in this transition time, I'm not sure, they'll have their hands full with that as Steve leaves and somebody new is coming in. But we can always keep these conversations out there and engage with the town as well to see what our path forward will be as a group as well.
And in concert with that, two of our current wonderful town councilors are not running for reelection. Bob Vincent and Mike McLean. So there will be changes on the town council as well.
Okay, yeah, good to know.
Yeah.
But yes, so it is 8:13. I am going to make a motion to conclude for the evening and adjourn.
Second,
Second from Sherry. All in favor?
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes. All right, thank you, everybody.
thank you.